Welcome to John Carroll University's 2021 Commencement Weekend. The past year has been filled with trials, tribulations, and challenges that none of us could have foreseen. But in the face of these challenges, you found opportunities for knowledge, growth, and service. You inspired those around you with care and compassion. You lived John Carroll's mission. Through hard work, resilience, and determination, you have persevered through the toughest of times. You overcame every obstacle standing in your way. Today is an ending where we commemorate the achievements of our graduates and salute your many accomplishments at John Carroll. But today is also a new beginning as you begin the next chapter of your life, ready for the next challenge. As we prepare to celebrate your accomplishments, let's take a look back at a few stories from graduating students who truly made the most of their time on campus.
Heather and I had the privilege of working on a food insecurity project over the last 2 years together with the entrepreneurship department with Joan Winkle and Jackie Schmidt. And that entailed a lot of really great networking and a lot of really great experiences with meeting people and working with the John Carroll community as well as communities within the Cleveland network that John Carroll has around the area of Ohio. So it was definitely a really humbling experience to learn about the food insecurity issue here in Cleveland and around the country itself, and finding a way that we can chip away at the issue, just like even with one small little business like this, it really does make a difference, and it just takes a lot of really small pieces to come together and make a really big change.
We're not doing this for us. This business, this is for a whole different demographic of students, and we needed to put our business for them and stop thinking what we would be interested in, because ultimately that's not who the end customer is.
The idea for our children's book came from, it was me and Mary Kate Barron, another senior. We did our preparation for our capstone project our junior year together, and we talked about women's reproductive health in private institutions versus public institutions. A teacher, a girl in the Army, a lawyer, a psychologist, a bunch of short stories all put together. And we have a little word search at the end to help them know the bigger words that they wouldn't necessarily know, and discussion questions, and also some reflective questions for them, how can you be a good listener? What do you want to be when you grow up? Who's your role model? Stuff like that, and then putting it all together, and we just presented it the other day for our final Arupe capstone.
One of the organizations that I was really involved with was the Middle Eastern Student Association. That organization was no longer an active club on campus at the end of my first year, and I definitely wanted change. I wanted to make sure that stayed on campus because I wanted the Middle Eastern culture to still have a presence at John Carroll. And so I became the president of that organization, and I helped turn it from 2 members as a president and financial officer with another student into an organization that has over 100 members.
My degree is in chemistry, and I'm pursuing a concentration in biochemistry. And after graduation, I plan to take a gap year, doing more research and applying to medical school. So for the future, I plan to become a physician researcher, where I still want to work with patients and on the clinical side of things, but I also want to do research, which is very fulfilling for me academically and makes me happy, I guess.
Originally, I wanted to do the engineering physics, which then turned into the 3-2 program with CASE, which is where I would get a engineering physics degree from John Carroll and then a degree from Case Western by doing another 2 years there. And a part of that was taking a computer science course. And I took that course with the sole purpose of following this program, but once I took it and I realized how open and how helpful the CS department was, I absolutely fell in love with it. I realized why I've always been a computer junkie, and it just kind of helped build up even more of my wanting to tinker, but now I'm not just tinkering with hands-on stuff, I'm tinkering with software and making things just appear out of nowhere on a computer screen. It feels pretty amazing.
One thing that I really have taken away from my John Carroll career, and I think a lot of people have, is just the ability to ask questions and to question everything and to always be really curious.
class of 2021, the bond that we have is great because we've been through a lot with the circumstances that we were dealing with during the pandemic, but not even just myself, but other students that I've seen around campus. They have formed really tight relationships with other students, other faculty.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna really miss my friends, my professors, the staff here, and just about everyone at John Carroll, I think.
We made it this far. We survived this long. We've done a lot. We've seen a lot. So it's time to keep going to see what else is out there.
Ready? Good morning. Welcome to the commencement exercises for the class of 2020. Celebration is appropriate. We are thrilled that you can join us today to celebrate your degrees and to walk across our stage and celebrate in front of your family and friends. I'd like to also welcome all those out in cyberspace who are joining us via live streaming. Please join us in singing of America the Beautiful and remain standing for the invocation. Members of the University Chorus will lead us in singing America the Beautiful. Thank you. The invocation will be given by Mara K. Wallace, member of the class of 2020. Ms. Wallace.
Good and loving Father, we would not be here today without you. We cherish the gift of this present moment, and we thank you for blessing us during this time of celebration. Our hearts are filled with gratitude for the knowledge and accomplishments we have gained during our 4 years at John Carroll. We pray in thanksgiving for our families, friends, and the many who have sacrificed and worked to see us to this hopeful moment. We also pray for the faculty and staff who have challenged us, cared for us, and formed us along this academic journey. May your Spirit guide us as we unfold the next chapters of our lives. Instill in us the confidence to always seek justice, even in the face of fear, and to uphold the dignity of every human being. Help us extend love and mercy to our neighbor as your instruments of peace. Help us to see the degree we earned as a means to serve the world with our gifts and talents. Bless us as we pursue our dreams and strive to achieve our mission to become who we are called to be on this side of heaven. Amen.
Thank you, Ms. Wallace. Please be seated. Dr. Michael Johnson, 25th President of the University of John Carroll University, will now give greetings and introduce our commencement speaker.
Thank you, Dr. Herbert, and a heartfelt congratulations to the class of 2020 on this milestone in your life's journey. Your experience has been truly unique, having endured the toughest challenge facing higher education in decades. But the end of the pandemic is in sight, and better days are ahead. I'm looking forward to the next stage of my own journey. I've truly enjoyed my time at John Carroll, and I'm proud of everything we have accomplished as a community, including our successful academic accreditations, record fundraising, the development of an innovative strategic plan, the renovation of multiple student spaces on campus, and our adaptation to the challenges of the pandemic. John Carroll has an excellent plan in place, and I wish Al Mikiak great success in his new role as president. As I look back over my time in higher education, I have been fortunate to have served as a professor at Michigan, a dean at Cornell, the provost of Babson College, and the president of John Carroll University. I'm thankful for and have enjoyed each and every one of these roles. Among the most rewarding parts of each of these experiences has been the time spent learning with you and the development of new knowledge with my academic colleagues. They are the heart of academic life and why I'm looking forward to joining the faculty this next year and enjoying my first sabbatical in 23 years. But it is graduation day and a day to celebrate your accomplishments and the transition upon which you are about to embark. When I came to John Carroll, I reflected on the stages one progresses over the course of one's life and career, from investment to growth to leadership to service. These stages are important to revisit today as you transition from one to another. For years, you've been in the investment stage, investing in individual learning, skill development, credentials, and embarking on your careers. But you're about to enter the growth stage, where your need to grow means you will likely have multiple jobs over the next several years. Believe me, you will learn something from and grow as a result of each and every one of these experiences, be they positive or negative. Remember, you don't have to have it all figured out. Rather, you need experiences that will help you grow. When you reach the leadership stage, life's purpose turns to enabling the success of others and institutions as a whole, be it running that business unit, company, or community organization down the road. Ultimately, the investment, growth, and leadership stages lead you to the stage of giving back, to serve. The key to life, of course, is not waiting for that next stage to grow, lead, or serve. And that, my friends, is the beauty of the Jesuit education you have received here at John Carroll University. Even though you have been focused on your own learning, as you should, you have had wonderful opportunities to grow, lead, and serve. That means you are graduating with a comprehensive set of skills and an outlook on life that has prepared you for any challenge going forward. Indeed, in a world that seems to be growing further and further apart, your Jesuit education is needed now more than ever. But no one does this alone. It takes an entire community to deliver the learning, growth, and leadership and service opportunities you have received. I want to thank my own senior leadership team and direct reports, as it has been an honor and privilege to work with you. But the glue that holds institutions like John Carroll together is the community of faculty and staff members who deliver your educational and service experiences. Years from now, it is these individuals, many of whom are with us here today, who you will remember and tell stories about from your time at John Carroll. Please join me now in thanking all of them for everything they've done for you. Graduates of the class of 2020, thank you for being part of my own journey, and God bless you. It is now my honor to introduce Pete Williams, who will deliver the keynote address. Pete is a nationally renowned journalist and justice correspondent for NBC News. Many of us have seen Pete reporting on the Justice Department from the newsroom at NBC's Washington, D.C. Bureau, or covering landmark Supreme Court cases live on television. Pete was also a colleague and friend of one of John Carroll's most notable alumni, the late Tim Russert of the class of 1972. Pete exemplifies the Jesuit ideals we teach, including integrity, service for the greater good, and care for the whole person. Tim would surely be proud. Mr. Williams is not able to join us in person today due to a previous commitment, but he has sent a congratulatory video with his remarks for the class of 2020.
Members of the class of 2020, parents of the graduates, family of the graduates, friends of the graduates, and potential employers of the graduates, good day. I know what you're thinking after months of virtual classes online, staring at a computer screen. Oh, great, another video. but because of how today is working out, here goes. You may be wondering what connection I have to John Carroll University. I'm proud to say that it's one of your most revered graduates, Timothy John Russert. Tim hired me 27 years ago to work at NBC News. He was my boss and friend for 15 years at the Washington Bureau before he died of a heart attack at age 58. It was Tim who assigned me to cover the Justice Department and also the U.S. Supreme Court. Safe to say, of all the institutions in Washington, the public understands the court the least. I saw an example of this firsthand not long after I started covering the court. I came out of the building one afternoon to find one of Washington, D.C.'s dreaded police boots clamped to a tire on my car so I couldn't move it. I admit I did have an overdue parking ticket at the time, just 3 weeks overdue, but this was a time when the city was especially hard up for cash. So to get the boot removed, I had to appear in person at the Bureau of Traffic Adjudication with a check. I took a cab there, I stood in a long line, and I paid up, and then it was time to get back to my desk at the court. So I hailed another taxi, I climbed into the back, and I said, U.S. Supreme Court, please. The driver took off, but he kept looking at me in the rearview mirror, and unable to contain himself any longer, he stopped the cab, turned around, and said, "You're appealing a parking ticket all the way to the Supreme Court?" For a brief moment, I was his hero. So I thank you for inviting me to share this joyous day with you. You'll be pleased to know that I intend to follow the iron rule of commencement speeches. I will be brief. I'm here today because of Tim Russert. Tim was proud of his Jesuit education. He said that he and his classmates deliberately chose a school that offered a different kind of education, one that wasn't meant to be the same as what they could have received at scores of public or private colleges. He chose an education based on the idea that it's not enough to have the knowledge or the skill, one that says values really do matter, an education intended to train young people to help shape and influence the moral tone and fiber of our nation and our society. In looking for ideas about what to say today, I could have done what all students do when they're stuck for answers. I could have Googled it. But there's a funny thing about using Google. It doesn't give you the right answer or even the best answer. It just tells you the answers that are the most popular, that get the most clicks. In other words, it tells you what other people have found useful. As you decide what's next for you and what you're going to do after today, I hope you won't just do what you think other people want you to do. In fact, the hardest decisions you'll make from now on should be the easiest, trying to figure out what you want, what makes you happy. I went to college intending to major in electrical engineering, but then I discovered the campus radio station and found journalism classes much more interesting and rewarding. My own father didn't think much of that choice, and in fact, he wouldn't speak to me for several weeks after I broke the news about changing my major. But when I returned to campus for my sophomore year, he began sending me bit by bit newspaper clippings, a few at a time, about remarks by prominent reporters, and I think he realized that I had found my calling. Someone else connected to John Carroll University tells a similar story about discovering his passion. Chuck Geschke, a native of Cleveland, was a math professor here in the 1960s. One year he had the unpleasant task of telling a graduate student who wasn't performing well to leave the program and try something else. A year later, that same student came back and said, "I want to thank you for kicking me out. I've discovered computers. And to show my gratitude, would you like me to teach you how to program a computer?" After Professor Geschke had been at it for a few months, his wife said to him one evening, "You know, you're much more excited about learning how computers work than you are in getting your PhD in math. Why don't you switch to computer science?" Which is exactly what he did. And he went on to start a company called Adobe. If you've ever emailed a PDF or used Photoshop or Premiere, then you know how he changed our lives. His contributions were widely celebrated when he died last month. By the way, he spoke here at Commencement 9 years ago and recalled how valuable his wife's insight was in his life, and he had this advice: marry someone who's smarter than you. I don't mean to say that following the right path for you will be easy. It's almost a guarantee there will be setbacks. Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple Computer and the father of the iPod and the iPhone and the iPad, famously got fired from Apple after starting the company. He later came back to run it, of course, and he said, "Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. He said, I'm convinced that the only thing that kept me going was that I loved what I did. You've got to find what you love, he said. And setbacks somehow have a way of working out. I was fired from National Public Radio after barely a month on the job, part of a big change in how the network was structured. As a result, though, I ended up working as a congressional staffer and then as a spokesman for the Defense Department during the first Gulf War. And that exposed me to the U.S. military and some of the most impressive and dedicated people I've ever met. I also came to know the newspaper editors and the network bureau chiefs here in Washington, including Tim Russert. He said to me one day toward the end of my time at the Pentagon, when you leave the government and decide what to do next, you should know that you'll always be welcome here at NBC News. I'd like to offer another bit of advice. I hope that for the rest of your lives, you'll read a newspaper, you'll look at the news on the internet, or you'll listen to it on the radio or watch it on television, especially on television, or your mobile device, I guess I should say. The founders of our country had it in mind that we'd all make choices together about how we wanted this nation to run. They expected us all to be part of it, to go to the polls and vote, to help choose our leaders. And they assumed that as we made those decisions, we'd have some idea of what we were doing, that we'd be informed. And that means more than knowing the batting averages of your favorite team or who won on The Voice. I hope that wherever you settle, you become involved in the public life of the community. I'll say this about my fellow journalists: they tend to be well informed. They care about what's going on around them. Tim Russert certainly did. I feel very lucky to have discovered the kind of work that would bring me happiness and make me feel that I was doing something important. I hope you'll make the same discovery. So I say thank you, and I wish you all good luck.
Thank you, Pete, for those wise words. In honor of the late Reverend William J. Malore of the Society of Jesus, who served the university in a variety of posts for 28 years until his death in 1977, a committee of faculty, administrators, and students have designated a member of the senior class to make a presentation at these exercises. Addressing the class of 2020 from Fort Gordon, Georgia, is Corey D. Beam.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Corey Beam, and I'm joining you from my hotel room here at Fort Gordon, Georgia, while I attend Basic Officer Leadership course. I really wish I could be with everybody on campus today, and I hope everyone's enjoying their time back. I want to say a special thank you to John Carroll's distinguished staff, administration, and faculty for supporting my education during my time at John Carroll and for continuing to support the current students that attend John Carroll. It's such an honor and really a unique privilege to be able to speak to the 2020 graduating class for a second time, and I'm grateful for the hard work that went on behind the scenes to make this all go through. In last year's Malore Orator Address, I challenged all of you to take ownership of not just yourself and your own life, but the betterment of the world around you. After over a year of lockdowns, quarantines, and one of the craziest years I think anybody can remember, I think it's time that we take stock of where we're at and reflect for just one moment. In the past year, we've seen our neighbors and our friends take to the streets to protest in the name of social justice. We've lost loved ones and friends to a pandemic and dealt with both the social and health-related impacts of isolation and loneliness. We've seen fellow citizens storm the Capitol building of the United States, demanding their own version of what they call justice. I will say this: if the Creator were to make everybody draw straws for the year that we would all graduate from college, it is really safe to say that we drew the short one. With these things in mind, I wanted to take my short time today and reflect on 3 things that have really spoken to me over the past year and provide some sort of pathway or vision forward. First, and this has been really important, we cannot ignore that our country has a problem dealing with the issues of race. Specifically, people with racial heritages that are different than my own can face many difficult and unique challenges in our country, both on a daily and ongoing basis. Whether you see it as a video of a fellow lieutenant of mine of color facing physical violence, or even the death of George Floyd, we can no longer plead ignorance on the issue and act like these are just isolated incidents. While of course, the handful of the most egregious acts reach you by way of maybe your Twitter feed or the TV evening news, it's important to acknowledge that there are a myriad of problems underlying the surface that you may never actually be exposed to. Among some of these things, many low-income families in our country live in what are called urban food deserts. They live really far away from access to fresh food to feed their families in a healthy way. Students of color graduate from high school at much lower rates than their white peers, and folks from racially underrepresented groups earn less than their white counterparts in the workforce, oftentimes for the same job. Of course, this is just a highlight of, again, many other problems that maybe don't bubble up to the surface but are very real. Unfortunately, you and we can't solve these problems today. However, what we can do, and what I challenge you to do, is to become more aware of them. Perhaps you can take time to talk to somebody with a different identity or a different background than your own. You can try and reach out to maybe other sources of information that are different than what you usually consume but provide a different point of view to grow a more holistic understanding. You can begin to understand how you either contribute to or fight against the circumstances and the reality that many people in our country face and that are undeniably real in our modern America. John Carroll taught us to be women and men for and with others. And you'll notice that that is regardless of someone's background or experiences. We cannot go and set the world on fire while simultaneously leaving behind those who face serious injustice in our country and are really struggling. The second reflection that I wanted to offer is the observation that there's a lot of hate in our country and in our world right now, really. And I'm even willing to bet that that statement alone maybe caused some folks to start doing some mental finger pointing in their head. It is way too easy anymore to tune into your preferred news source where a particular news anchor or channel or company is going to simply echo your thoughts and validate your distrust and maybe even your hatred for another group. Be honest with yourself. How many times over the past year have you really committed to understand the other side of an argument, or have you placed yourself in an echo chamber where your thoughts are reverberated back to yourself and you get that instant feeling of self-assuredness? My reflection over the past year, and believe me, I've been guilty of that at times myself, but it's brought me to realize that there's only one conclusion, and that there is no reason to hate anybody, and that we actually do have a choice in this matter. You can respect the dignity of all people when interacting with them. You can avoid insulting and belittling people even if you disagree with how they think about a particular issue, or maybe you disagree with how they operate in their whole life. You do not have to belittle somebody, and as a matter of fact, you should not. Loving your neighbor as yourself isn't just for kids to learn at Sunday school and then they go away and forget about it forever. No, it's a timeless teaching for you to carry out with you for the rest of your life. Be that John Carroll graduate who cuts through all this deafening nonsense with the values and morals that somebody with a John Carroll degree should have. Finally, and this is so important, you need to take care of yourself. You see, I watched my parents work their tails off growing up and providing my brother and I with an unbelievably great life. And I thought from watching that hard work is all it took to be happy and successful. But as I've entered adult life, so to speak, I've quickly realized there was more under the surface, and life is way more complicated than that. We are all more connected now by way of social media than we have ever been, and yet we find ourselves the least connected we have ever been. I'm willing to bet that many of you haven't taken a sincere enough amount of time to understand that the past year has taken more out of you and me than any of us want to realize or admit. If I've learned one lesson the hard way this past year, it's that it's okay to not be okay, and that you shouldn't suffer in silence. It's okay to admit that even when you're giving it your best and sometimes it's just not going well, this, after all, is the human condition. And we can at least take some comfort in knowing that we are all so remarkably imperfect. So cut yourself some slack and make more time to take care of yourself. Lean on friends and family when you need some extra support. Exercise, read a book, go outside. Just take your eyes off that phone or computer screen for 15, 30 extra minutes a day. Stop working. Just because work might be from home and it's instantly accessible at any time doesn't mean you have to be working all the time. Again, take some time for yourself. If your boss disagrees, they stink. You should find a new job and a new boss. And if you are a boss and you're watching this, by the way, cut your employees a little bit of slack and be that compassionate leader that you wanted when you were an entry-level employee. So what's next? Right? There's 3 reflections, but that doesn't really tell us where we're going in the future, and maybe after you reflect on those 3 points, you actually feel a little worse about the future. You might think, well, maybe we're going to see more quarantines. Am I going to have this mask on my face for the next 2 years? Is there going to be even more political division and hate? That narrative can kind of swallow you up, and it might cause you to just throw your hands up and surrender and not play this game called life at all. JCU alumni Don Shula always believed in playing the game. He showed up on the 1950 John Carroll football team to actually defeat Division I juggernaut Syracuse. He showed up and he played the game and beat Syracuse against all odds. Do your best to be vigilant and informed about the issues that we collectively face today, and remember, your neighbor to your left or right may be facing much different issues than you are, depending on who they are and what their background is. You should do everything in your power to work towards accomplishing your own personal goals and objectives. But remember to take time to care for yourself and carve out time to take care of others who need you as a friend as well. Be that friend who your coworker or neighbor is looking for, and own it when you are facing struggles as well. Be the person who gives more to society than you take. And be aware of how your circumstances, life experience, and who you are affects how you move through life and interact with others within our broader society. That's called having an informed perspective. And the more informed your perspective is, the better you will get at playing this game called life. If these past 12 months pretty much just wrecked you, it's okay. You can take a mulligan. These months are over. Make the next year your best year ever and keep pushing forward from there. I'm so grateful to have had the opportunity to speak to everybody again, and I wish everyone the very best. God bless you all. God bless John Carroll, and God bless our great country. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Beam, for those powerful words. So it brings us to it. 2020 graduates of the College of Arts and Sciences for the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Classics, Bachelor of Arts, and Bachelor of Science, please rise. Dr. Bonnie Gunzenhauser, Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, will present these graduates.
President Johnson, on behalf of the faculty of the College of Arts and Sciences, I certify that the graduates whose names are hereby presented have satisfied all of the requirements to graduate from John Carroll University.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Directors of the University, for those who have completed all their degree requirements, I hereby congratulate them for completing the degrees of Bachelor of Arts in Classics, Bachelor of Arts, and Bachelor of Science, with all the rights, privileges, and obligations thereunto appertaining.
Graduates of the College of Arts and Sciences, please come forward.
Chloe Elizabeth Backman. Lucy Brennan Beatty. Natalie Noreen Benz. Emma Bouchard. Anna Michelle Brady. Michael A. Brody. Jillian Elizabeth Cantley. Annika Grace Carlo. Sarah F. Silano. Mackenzie Diane Klinger. Sean Patrick Flannery. Gabriela Victoria Flores. Hannah Mary Fries. Colby Shea Fritsch. Vincenzo Joseph Giovannitti. Catherine A. Grabowski. Colleen Rita Grumbala. Sydney M. Hall. Katrina Ariel Soleil Heil. Nicholas Charles Holloman. Connor R. Keenan. Carly Ann Kehoe. Molly Elizabeth Killeen. Christian Starr Kincaid. Emmanuel Heather Knight. Nadia Donna Marie Loftus. Kathleen Marie Mackey. Anthony W. McKellar II. Kyle P. Mountcastle. Annabelle Rose Natupsky. Olivia Sinclair Noves. Alexander Paul Nusarino. Matthew Joseph Passarell. Jacob Finn Reddy. Brandon Rico Ramirez. Jane Alicia Rosa. Alexis Christine Saltis. Kendall Christine Sexton. Carolyn Sicarella. Hannah Lynn Snyder. Cameron Francis Story. Regina Marie Sullivan. Dorothy C. Swagler. Olivia Marie Tartaglia. Christina M. Tarasavage. Elizabeth Charlotte Watson. Logan A. Weber.
Go good.
John Joseph Wayard, Jr. Julia Therese Whitmore. Alyssa K. Zablo. Marcelo B. Adhikari. Carson S. Bartlett. Adam T. Beaufort. Andrew Dale Benos. Allison Nicole Brawler. Ashley Rose Brooks. Caitlin Nicole Budzik. Owen T. Carpenter. Amanda Margaret Cherovich. Trevor Clancy Kubra. Alexis Jacqueline DeMatteis. Nicole Rose DeFranco. Jillian Lee Doherty. Eleanor Suzanne Durkin. May Fahim Edir. Madison Kaylee Edge. Ashley M. Gianjuzu. Ian M. Glass. Michelle C. Glawich. Dehana Jane Green. Lindsay Ann Herman. Rebecca Ann Holoman. Alexandra M. Holy. Ryan Douglas Huftling. Anthony Guy Iarusi. Sarah Alexandra Cadas. Brian Paul Kistler. Rebecca Lee Kosakowski. Neil Kumar. Keith James Macarone. Rachel E. Marciano. Alexandra M. Mathialis. Emma Catherine McIntyre. Morgan Aaron Might. James R. Millard. Michaela Joy Velarde Morales. Joseph Edward Murnane. Taylor Josephine Newhart. Stephanie Ann Neurones. Tanisha S. Osborne. Carolyn N. Pulaski. Jamie Alexandra Pampush. Alyssa Nicole Paris. Heidi K. Rapp. Anna Michelle Rastetter. Rose M. Reif. Catherine N. Scarvelli. Shelby Shearer. Delaney Elizabeth Sumrau. Clayton Alexander Tyndall. Madeline A. Tobolewski. Petar Vidovich. Maura K. Wallace. Ian A. Williams. Troy G. Williams. Ivy Ping Zhang. Philip Quinn. Nicholas Beda. Spencer Harding. Alexandria Hutton. Margaret Mim. Kaylee Holland.
Graduates of the College of Arts and Sciences, please be seated. And congratulations. "2020 graduates from the John M. and Mary Jo Bohler College of Business for the degrees of Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and Bachelor of Science in Economics, please rise. Dr. Scott Moore, Interim Dean of the Bohler College of Business, will present these graduates.
President Johnson, on behalf of the faculty of the Bohler College of Business, I certify the graduates whose names are hereby presented satisfied all the requirements to graduate from John Carroll University.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Directors of the University, for those who have completed all their degree requirements, I hereby congratulate them for earning the degrees of Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and Bachelor of Science in Economics, with all the rights, privileges, and obligations thereunto appertaining.
Graduates of the Bohler College of Business, please come forward.
Stephen P. Andriano. Talusa Baral. Sarah M. Beckwith. Joshua Charles Benz. Good. James Peter Berger. Brian Thomas Berger. Nicholas M. Berlin. Ekaterina Bikuleva. Skylar R. Blake. Matthew J. Bronsky, cum laude. Justin S. Brown. Brandon James Callison, magna cum laude. Joseph M. Charpentier, cum laude. Alexis Morgan Chupa, magna cum laude. Grace M. Klaus. Darren Edward Clemente, Jr. Hey, Joe. Joseph Maximilian Enns, cum laude. Daniel P. Godfrey. Audrey Elizabeth Goodrick. Bennett C. Gorman. Mark Grabowski, cum laude. Julia L. Groff. Henry C. Haver. Trevor Scott Heim, magna cum laude. Hannah Marie Hill. Jenna Rose Kazmarchik, magna cum laude. Emily Rose Cadis, cum laude. Lauren N. Kenzinger, cum laude. Julia Karen Korick, cum laude. James Patrick Koze, cum laude. Olivia C. Kraus. Haley Elizabeth Kreutz. Or Cruz, maybe. Sorry about that. Victoria C. Webinger, summa cum laude. Constance Faith Liederbach, magna cum laude. Andrew James Manningham, cum laude. Caitlin R. McQuaid. Ryan P. Meisenzahl. Elijah Parrish Moore, cum laude. Gregory L. Moran. Isabella M. Moreland. Colin Ciarello Nash. Farah A. Nelson. Renee Nkara. Miranda G. Nade. Caitlin A. Nowicki. Samantha Elizabeth Oley. Michael P. O'Meara. Peter Shaw Otterman III. Noah Edward Paulson, magna cum laude. Madeline Pelucio. Antonia Rose Piazza, summa cum laude. Nicholas Britt Pompilia. Robert E. Quist. Michael P. Riley, cum laude. Jordan P. Rust, magna cum laude. Justin P. Salomon. Ryan A. Skello. Raymond A. Schimbeckler III, cum laude. Brian P. Schultz. Allison R. Ceballos, cum laude. Christopher A. Sharp. John Lewis Smith III, cum laude. Lilia S. Smyers, magna cum laude. Madison Renee Thompson. Mary Clark Turpak, cum laude. Manning Joseph Trubisky. Lorenzo Alberto Velozzi. Neil P. Walsh. Michael R. Wenzel. It's okay. Thank you. Audrey Elizabeth Wilson. Matthew Slapper Wilson. David Christopher Grubach, Jr., cum laude. Connor Keefe. Casey Voros. And John Parente.
Graduates of the Bowler College of Business, please be seated. And congratulations. Dr. Johnson will now present the Student and Faculty Awards.
The Distinguished Faculty Award is presented each year to a member of the faculty selected by a committee of the faculty, students, administrators, and alumni for excellence in classroom teaching, scholarship, advisement, and leadership of students. together with participation in civic and community affairs. The 2020 recipient of the award was Dr. Rebecca Drevnosky, Dean of the Graduate School and Professor in the Department of Biology. Every year, the university recognizes a number of other faculty and staff with a variety of awards. These awards are listed on pages 23 and 24 of the Commencement program. These awards include the Silver Circle, recognizing faculty and staff who have served the university community for 25 or more years, the Lucrezia Cucina Award for Teaching Excellence in the College of Arts and Sciences, the Wasmer Outstanding Teaching Award in the Bowler College of Business, the Curtis W. Miles Faculty Award for Community Service, the Outstanding Part-Time Faculty Member Awards, the George E. Grau Faculty Fellowships, and our 4 retiring faculty members. I ask the recipients of these awards and honors to stand and be recognized at this time. In honor of the late Robert Boudry, class of 1950, a plaque is annually awarded to the senior student who has contributed most significantly in the areas of academic achievement, Christian life, and leadership and service to the university or civic community during the preceding school year. The 2020 recipient of the award was Brendan Anthony Sieber. Brendan is unable to join us on campus this weekend because of his participation in a medical brigade to Honduras with Ohio State University medical students. So go figure, he's doing exactly what got him the award. His participation in this mission is a testament to his continued spirit of the ideals of the Baudry Award recipient. Thank you.
On June 1st, Dr. Alan Mikiak, former Dean of the Bowler College of Business and Executive Vice President of the university, will assume the duties as the 26th President of John Carroll University. Now, before we conclude our ceremony, please join me in welcoming Dr. Mikiak to offer some closing remarks.
Thank you, Dr. Herbert. Congratulations, class of 2020. Was it worth the wait? I hear your moms and dads saying so. Okay. Well, it's great to have everyone here today. As much as there was a lot of sacrifice and hard work through your time, particularly in the last year, others who made sacrifices and worked hard on your behalf are sitting behind you today. So I'd like to give you an opportunity to stand up, turn around, and make some noise and thank all those folks that have supported you through the years. So it will be an honor to serve as the 26th President of John Carroll University and to continue the work of Dr. Michael Johnson. My single focus as President will be to ensure that every student receives a transformative education, including the right amount of academic challenge, experiential learning, and personal formation. We will continue to prepare graduates for the future and your work in the world. In the words of C.S. Lewis, the future is something which everyone approaches at 60 minutes an hour, whoever they are or whatever they do. The difference will be with what you do with your 60 minutes an hour. So make the most of them. Congratulations, class of 2020.
Please stand for the benediction and remain standing for the singing of the Alma Mater. At this time, I'm pleased to call upon Mr. Vincenzo Joseph Giovannitti, member of the class of 2020, to give the benediction. Mr. Giovannitti.
When I reflect on my time at John Carroll, it is easy for my mind to go to its untimely end last year. But an ending so bitter makes me even more grateful for an experience so sweet. Thank you, God, for the incredible gift of John Carroll. Thank you for the memories and the opportunity to encounter you through the most genuine community. Thank you for the abundance of growth, perspective, and friendship at John Carroll. Thank you for the experiences that have challenged us to truly understand what it means to be men and women for and with others. John Carroll has given us the tools, O Lord, to be your heavenly hands, feet, and mouth as we continued onward through this life. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, moms, dads, faculty, and staff, and all of my amazing peers for these transformative 4 years, and for the honor and the privilege of this degree. In a time of such division and hate, may we use this privilege and all we have learned here to go forth and set the world on fire with your love, O Lord. In his name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Vincenzo. Members of the University Chorus will now lead us in singing the Alma Mater. Thank you. As we conclude, this past year has taken much from many, and it has robbed you of experiences of joy in your 4 years at John Carroll. We are thrilled that you could return with us and share in some celebration of your time with us. So thank you so much for returning to us, and we are thrilled that we could have this ceremony for you today. I offer this one very small thing. You are the first class to wear the new John Carroll blue robes and golden blue tassels. That will never be taken from you. As we conclude our commencement exercises for the class of 2020, I would ask that you give a final round for these wonderful men and women in front of us and congratulate them. That concludes our commencement exercises. Go forth and set the world on fire.